All right, well, welcome into the next edition, I guess you call it, of the Saturday show. We are going to be doing something outside of roasting, which is the usual for our weekend offerings. Today we got a couple of unique things that we're going to be going over with our special guest, Julie. So Julie has made her way back to the chat. So go ahead and welcome Julie, and we will be getting started here pretty soon. Today we are going to be first kind of evaluating where Julie is at as a coffee brewer. Now, I can go ahead and let the secret out that she is by no means a barista by trade.
No.
But Julie, you are responsible for some of the coffee in our household. So why don't you go ahead and tell them about your coffee knowledge or your coffee brewing knowledge.
Okay. So thanks for joining us tonight. This is a special show where Brian is going to try and teach me a little of his knowledge and a little of the secret to brewing a perfect cup. But
Perfect is a
my responsibility for the coffee is very limited. During the week when I go to work, Brian leaves before I do, and he is nice enough that he puts the exact amount of scoops into the grinder and the exact amount of water into the drip coffee maker. All I do is I grind the beans, I pour it in, and I push start. Not a lot goes into it.
Okay, so you do know how to run a pretty common machine.
Yes.
That most of us have seen when we think about coffee. If you've ever worked in an office, if you've ever if you've ever been at home or grandma's house or anywhere, when you think about coffee, you most likely are thinking about something that looks a little bit like this. Now, normally it would have a glass carafe inside of it. I guess we can go get that.
Have you seen it?
What?
Not using
No.
it? No.
But this is a pretty standard drip coffee maker. So when Julie says that she is brewing coffee with this machine, I am putting enough coffee in here that she can, she has plenty of coffee. She grinds the coffee, she pushes the lever that turns the coffee machine on, and then she places the grinds inside of the machine. The water is already inside of this machine for her, and then she pushes brew. And that is about that's about as complicated as this machine gets. She makes good coffee in it because really where she could fail is very limited. As long as the button is pushed and the carafe is in, there's not a lot. It's pretty foolproof as it goes. Now, a lot of you, I'm seeing in the chat that this is probably the extent of your coffee knowledge as well. So what we want to do to start the show is kind of go over just exactly what some of the measurements are with this. So if this is the only coffee maker that you have, although it's sometimes bemoaned by coffee enthusiasts, and they will make fun of drip coffee, not nearly as much as they say make fun of a Keurig. It has taken a really bad rap. The Europeans want nothing to do with this contraption, and in fact, this is about as American as coffee gets. However, it is a part of our culture because A, it makes coffee, and that's step one to a coffee culture is it makes it. Part two, it makes a lot of coffee, and part three, it makes a lot of coffee simply and easily. So we're going to talk about how we can make this machine kind of optimize the cup of coffee that you're getting. Because if you are only using this, let's talk about some things that you should be doing and some things that you should not be doing. So we're going to make Julie an expert on this machine, and then a little bit later on, we're going to teach her another coffee brewing method to kind of add to her repertoire, as it were.
That's the scary part.
Right. But before we do that, let's just talk about this. Because like we've already mentioned, many of you, this is all you have. So let's talk about this and some things that people do right with it and some things that people do wrong. Not yet. Okay, so First, this is what we would call a 12 serving carafe. We know that because of the 12 that you can see here. Now, what a coffee serving is it's 6 ounces. So when they say that there is 12 cups in here, what they're referring to is that there is 12 6-ounce cups of coffee. Now, you may have poured a cup of coffee and wonder, and you say, I've drank a full one of these before and I've never gotten 12 of these out of there. That is because this is actually 16 ounces. So this will hold roughly about 4 to 5 cups if you brew this all the way. So that is why when we talk about 12 cups, it's not this or 12 servings. This is an American size coffee cup. Now, if we had any European cups, which I don't, I could show you what a 12-ounce cup a 6-ounce cup would look like. But in this case, these are a little bit bigger than that.
And it's different than like a measuring cup. A measuring cup typically is 8 ounces.
Right.
So this is different. It's not like a measuring cup that you could measure with.
Right. So it's referring like as 6 ounces because that's what it's. I guess you need to refer this as 12 servings would be a better
instead of
a better
ounces.
Piece of logic.
Yes.
All right. So the next thing to know is when you're filling this up. There is a fill line. Don't go past the fill line. I know you want to say, like, I like it when the whole thing looks full because then it's chocked full and ready to go. Mm-hmm. And if you look, there would be technically another serving or 2 servings if you piled this thing full of water. Stick with the fill lines. Even some makers have the fill lines inside of them. Yours may or may not. However, just stick with the fill line because if it were to overflow, the water would just stay in the basket because, and I'll show you the next kind of unique mechanism here, is this little spring. So this here is what keeps the coffee either coming out or not coming out. You'll notice there's a little knob at the top of this. And this depresses this, which causes the water that fills up in here to come out in here. This is why, and you should never do this, but if you're brewing the coffee and you pull the pot out, it doesn't continue to brew because it stops.
It's also why if you're brewing coffee and you forget to put the lid on, speaking from experience, what happens?
Well, and I've done this, I do it probably once a month. If you put it in without the lid, the little knob won't depress, but the hot water will continue to go into the basket. If it continues to go into the basket enough, it'll begin to overflow out the back, as A-Web has pointed out.
Yes, not into your coffee pot.
Into the maker, it'll get into the percolator. Yeah. It's a big mess. I don't recommend doing it. We've all done it, but the lid with this type of coffee maker is essential. Although it's automatic and it's American, if you, like most things in America, if you don't use it correctly, I guess the results are a lot more costly than, say, if you were to mess something up on one of the more nuanced contraptions. Okay, so that is some things to watch out for. The next thing is how much coffee do I put in the basket? I've been asked that probably more than any other coffee question, and it's a good question. Mm-hmm. If you read Folgers, it has the scooper in it, and it just says, put a scoop in per serving. Well, that would mean that you would need to put in 12 scoops per this. But let's say you don't have Folgers and you just have this. What does that mean? Well, a scooper is actually a tablespoon. And that's pretty good. It's not the right ratio. And when we talk about these more nuanced machines, we talk about coffee to water ratio. But for a drip cup coffee maker, a pretty standard cup of coffee is 1 tablespoon per serving. So if you want to make 6 servings, you would just put 6 tablespoons in. And that's going to make a pretty good cup of coffee. Now, if you like it stronger, you can add more in. Again, do not add more than 2 tablespoons per serving, because then you fall into the trap of it overloads the machine. If you need something even quicker than a tablespoon, you're like, I'm not doing that math. 1 cup of coffee, so 1 cup, that's a measuring cup. That's 12 tablespoons. Minds are blown, I know. But that's 12 tablespoons. You can just take a cup, fill it with grounded coffee, and fill up your coffee maker. Now, one other thing. 1 cup of beans is not 1 cup of ground coffee. Coffee gets more, it gets larger volume when you grind it. Okay, let's answer some questions before we go any further.
We've got one that says, I heard 1 scoop per cup. So,
yep.
That's...
So that would be 1 scoop per serving.
I like to eyeball it. Always a good option.
You know,
in case you're wanting something a little more scientific, a little more accurate.
Yeah, I mean, eyeballing it. Again, this is a very uniquely American style of brewing coffee. So the eyeball, I mean, that's your given right as an American to be allowed to eyeball if you think is necessary.
And hey, even bad cup of coffee is better than no coffee, so you'll be okay.
But if you're wondering, okay, how do I make the best? So you pour that in. Now, a couple more don'ts while we're sorting some things out here. Do not grind your coffee at 8 o'clock at night and then put it in the machine and then set the autos. Don't do that. That's just bad flavor place. Now, you'll be like, well, Brian, I take Folgers, I put it in there, I push 6 a.m., then when I wake up, I can smell it. I know. I'm asking you to kind of take a leap here. You really want to grind the coffee before you're putting it in, if that's your option. Now, if you just have ground coffee, I would still say keep it in an airtight container until you're ready to use it. Just letting it sit there with the water and everything, that's not going to do well.
So, question. I remember growing up, my mom would keep their ground coffee, came in a tin, in the freezer. Is that a good option to keep your coffee grind?
So, what they're trying to do is there's the oils and the different things that will oxidize. Yes, if you had ground coffee, you could keep it in the freezer.
Okay.
Again, when you're talking to me, and that's just one person's opinion, I tend to just say, get your coffee and drink it as fast as you possibly can. And if that means all in one sitting, that means all in one sitting. But I tend to just have these little airtight containers. I have some more fancy ones than this. But I won't keep this in here more than about 3 days. And at 3 days, this is all you really need. But I drink my coffee half pound at a time. And that's a little bit less than most people have access to for now. Okay. All right, so this is the drip coffee maker. And I'll tell you what, on a weekend when we're going to be busy, having about 12 coffee cups, about 6 coffee cups worth of coffee, that's about all we need to get through the morning. I'll start this before I really start anything else. About a half hour later, I'll start drinking on it, and it can get me to where I'm actually wanting to do more risky methods. So that is this. So hopefully those of you that have been doing this wrong can, I guess, at least make some slight adjustments.
And I do want to say, I think Jill made a comment right when you started. She noticed the new shelf up. Brian has made some improvements.
So bit by bit, we make this space a little bit nicer, a little bit more appealing to the eye.
Move this way so they can see.
So here is the new shelf. You can see it's kind of decorated with various coffee, and we'll get this light. I know there's just a burning light that really kind of just drowns everything out.
But next time we'll have the sink in place.
We have the French press, and then a couple of my other favorite methods are actually at work. So, all right, is there a difference between expensive and cheap versions of that coffee maker? Yeah. So this one has some nicer. Just keep pointing to it on the shelf. This one has some nicer functions. This is at the Cuisinart, which it's not the. There are some. You could go all the way up to like $700-800 machines that the really fancy coffee shops will cater to. But this one, I would say it's a medium build. It's got some creature comforts in it. You can change how hot the hot plate is. I usually keep that pretty low. I don't want the coffee maker to continue to cook my coffee. But the warming plate has some different features attached to it. There is some of the dreaded pre-settings where you could say I want this to cook at 6 a.m., which I'm not into that whole scene. There's also like a water filter, so if your water is a little bit rough.
But in terms of functionality and the coffee that it brews, is there a big difference between the more expensive versus the cheap?
Really, there's not.
It's just like the extras, the
like,
perks with it.
I know when you get up to the $600-800 machines, they have different water, the way the water diffuses, and they swear that the way the basket's set up, that it doesn't get the drowned out taste that coffee makers have been kind of bemoaned for. But if you have no coffee maker at all, and all you're using is a Keurig, go to any grocery store, go down the appliance aisle. There'll be a coffee maker for like 15 or 20 bucks. So, yeah. I mean, it's going to make you better coffee than a Keurig. So if you're only at Keurig, if you make a couple of adjustments, I mean, you put the right amount of water, you put the right amount of grounds, you don't boil your water over into your grounds, and you are putting fresh ground coffee in, it's going to make a world of difference. With this machine, the biggest difference you're going to see is going to be fresh coffee versus old coffee. And if you don't believe me, go out, get yourself some real fresh coffee. Not at the store, because you bought it that day doesn't mean it's fresh. I mean, you check the label, it's within 4 or 5 days. Get something old or whatever you have left, pop that in, and you'll taste the difference immediately. So I feel like the fact that there is a $700 coffee machine that isn't much different is very American. Well, yeah, that is. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. The fact that there is a drip coffee maker that makes slightly better coffee than a $15 coffee maker, but it costs hundreds of more dollars. That's just America. But I've had one through it, and like I said, I taste the difference. So.
Audrey wants to know how you feel about the Keurig.
How do I feel about the Keurig? It's just not coffee. Now, once you get to the point of you don't call it coffee anymore, then it's a great machine. For what it does. Now, first, it's not a great machine for the environment. And let's go ahead and pour one out for Mother Earth. The inventor of the Keurig even said that was like the biggest mistake he ever did was inventing that machine because of these small pods in the landfills. But it's not coffee. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just it's that. It's quick. You feel like you're getting coffee. There's caffeine in there, but I mean, it's the equivalent of someone like putting caffeine in their mouth and spitting it in your mouth. And yes, I said that. I know, a little bit vulgar, but that's what a Keurig is to me. Somebody putting caffeine in their mouth, warming it up, and spitting it in your mouth.
We asked his opinion. So.
All right. Ew, what I missed? Well, we did a full review of drip coffee makers, their vegetable beards. So if you weren't in for that, nothing.
We could answer questions about that again at the end.
All right. So my pool is reusable, and I've. All right, don't do that. Anyway, let me just give you the most friendly version of coffee talk. Just stop that immediately. I know it's reusable. I know you're getting what you need, but do yourself a favor and get yourself a good cup of coffee, and
make your whole day better.
Start your day with good coffee one time, not having to go paying $6 for your cups. Like, that's a different good feeling. Like, that's also a good cup of coffee, but make something good yourself that is called coffee, and it will change your entire outlook for a day. And I know you've spent some time with me in the morning. You're like, that's probably not true. That guy's pretty rough in the mornings. But imagine what it would be without that, and then kind of just expand your mind. All right.
And we also, I mean, I know you've talked a little bit about it, but part of the making, and as opposed to the Keurig, is you get a little bit of a routine and a little bit of a culture with it. Like you and I, that's like the first thing we do Saturday morning is we make coffee before we make the kids breakfast or do anything else.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how we start our weekend.
And I mean, I'm not one that if I have, like, during the summers when I have off, like, I'm not making a ton of drip coffee. I'm doing more of the more extraneous methods. And when I'm at work, even though I could bring a drip coffee maker there, the profession I'm in, you just got some free time. Now, I'm not going to be the guy that says, I know it's been busy and this year has been chaotic, but the nice thing about the system in which I work, there are periods where I can sneak away and brew myself up a special cup of coffee. So, all right, so I did buy a French press. I've never used it. Well, I'll tell you what, A-Web, I don't know, someday in the deep, dark recesses of February, I will brew some up here and I'll give you the full breakdown. I might do something else. It's pretty easy. You put grounds in there, you put water in there. But
baby bird method.
Yeah, the baby bird method. So let's get that started. That is the new wave of coffee. So you go to the coffee shop, you order yourself a baby bird shot. They put caffeine in their mouth, they warm it up, and they spit it into your mouth.
Yeah.
Or as you can just call it the Keurig. How early stock in Keurig? Yeah, home early stock. Yeah, I can believe that. Home early has his full stock in Keurig. Like that might as well be called the home early brew. Doesn't seem COVID friendly. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Well, what if the person's vaccinated and they spit into your mouth? Could you get the vaccine?
Lisa, your doctor.
Is that how that works? If I get the baby bird shot by someone that's been vaccinated, am I then vaccinated too? If you're just joining us in, the baby bird shot is putting caffeine in your mouth, a little bit of warm water, and then spitting it into someone else's mouth, or drinking Keurig, because it's the same thing. Okay, welcome to all those that are starting to trickle in. We just did a quick rundown of the what Julie can do, and we fixed some things in there as well.
And for those of you that did just join, my role in brewing the coffee in the morning, I'll explain one more time just so that you understand how little I do with it. Brian puts the exact amount of beans in the grinder that I need, and then he puts the exact amount of water in the coffee pot that I need. I grind the beans, I pour them in, and I push start. That is the extent of what I do before I go to work. And then he does the coffee on the weekends. So I have never done the CHEMEX or the AeroPress or any of the other methods that he enjoys. So this could be interesting.
Julie can do anything. Yeah, I mean she can, and we're about to find that out. So
yeah, we're about to see.
That brings us to the next version or the next portion of our show. So tonight we want to make some coffee. Now I don't want the not kill my kids amount of coffee. I just want 2 or 3 cups of shareable good coffee. We'll call it pour over. It is very unique in the sense that this, and we've talked about this a little bit, but this is called the CHEMEX. You may have one of these. You may have a parent or grandparent who has one of these. You've all probably seen it if you've ever watched Friends, and you look in the background. This is a staple of the Friends kitchen, and sometimes it has coffee in it, sometimes it doesn't. But this is actually a coffee maker.
So it's been around for how long?
Right. This has been around since the 1950s. So very elegant design. It looks good. It's one of those coffee makers you can sit out, not feel too bad. Thanks for the shelf shout out. I think we're slowly building this thing up into something that you can call a kitchen. But this is the CHEMEX. So this makes pretty good coffee. It makes a very light, delicate coffee. This is really good for light flavored coffees, which, as we mentioned in a roasting show a while back, that's what you call a breakfast blend. So on a weekend, if we're not into this, I may actually start the morning with one of these. Now, the thing about this is I'm the only person in the house who knows how to use this very complicated contraption. It's a piece of hourglass-shaped glass.
And before we get too far, how is this different? A question here. How is this different than the pour-over that you did with Kyle last week?
That is what's called a single serving. It's going to make probably between 8 and 12 ounces of coffee. This will make roughly about 6 servings or 36 ounces of coffee. So this is going to make 3 of what that smaller one will do. Also, the design, the V60 actually vortexes coffee in. This just kind of waterfalls it in. So the pour over V60 is a little bit more it's a little bit more engineered than this is. This is just a very elegant design, but it does make 3 cups of coffee. This model does. 3 pretty good servings of coffee. So if you are like Julie and I, who would like to both do it at the same time, it is a little bit faster. So that is some of the differences that are in there. So what we're going to do is I have created a recipe, and let's see if I can find it. So I have given Julie the keys to the city of a very easy CHEMEX recipe. Now I'm going to stand to the side of the kitchen, and I'm just going to be there as guidance. But it's time for Julie to learn how to operate this.
So when you say recipe, you mean the amount of water, the amount of coffee beans, like how fast you pour it, right? That's what a recipe for coffee is, correct?
Right. I mean, that's a recipe for everything.
Well, but
the ingredients and how you put it in.
You don't really hear a recipe for coffee very often, so.
That's a recipe.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
We have. I'm just going to walk you through some of the equipment here, so you know what you're doing. This is your scale.
Okay.
Now there is if you hear me say tear it out, that does not mean rip it off the counter.
Okay.
Tear it out does not mean like throw it across the room. Tear it out means set it back to 0. There is a tear button here. So when I put this here, you see how it goes up?
Yes.
Now, if you wanted this to be 0, you would do what? Boom.
Tear it out.
We're in the money now. Now, we are currently set to imperial pounds. The recipe calls for what?
Let me look in my notebook. Grams.
Okay, so see the mode button.
Yep.
On most kitchen or coffee scales, they have several modes. Coffee is most of the time dialed in through grams. So I wrote the recipe in grams, and
sorry, we both just looked at each other because the baby just cried.
yeah, that's life. He'll be okay. Maybe. Anyway, so we got it set to grams. Now, tear this out.
Okay.
So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go through the recipe. But for those of you that at home that want to follow along and see how Julie's doing, we have set up we're trying something. Now, we're both dopes when it comes to this kind of stuff. We are, we're using as much of the internet as we possibly can, but we are by no means experts of the digital craft. So bear with us. Now, Julie.
And Audrey, no freestyling here. No. I asked for detailed notes.
Well, careful on my rope here.
Sorry.
And as far as detailed goes, that would be the brew can. So, there's the brew can, there we are, and there is the recipe for those of you following along at home. Okay. So, I will be running the camera, I will be answering your text questions, I will be giving as little advice as I possibly can, because it's high time that Julie learns how to do this method.
Okay. So we have the kettle boiling over here, or warming up, so that we've got hot water. Okay, so
it is ready to go. So
I can start?
So we'll follow along with you guys. There is the recipe. There is the simple instructions.
Okay. I have a question already.
One question already.
What does this say? Water 1 3/4. What's
so that's
that?
1 3/4 liter, but I went ahead and
okay.
I just converted it for you. So okay. 280 that's milliliters. A milliliter and a gram are roughly the same thing.
Okay, so I need to first grind the coffee, correct?
So you need to first
measure the coffee.
Measure the coffee. Good.
Yes. Okay. So 35 grams. Got my scale on.
It'll tear out on its own. And it's on grams.
I've got in the right mode.
Already too much math, I'm out.
Yeah,
okay.
36.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, got my coffee measured. Now I'm going to put it into the grinder.
How ground up does it need to be?
Oh, coarse.
Now I'm not going to make you go through all the steps of getting this. We'll just call this is what I know is a good coarse ground. So I'll go ahead and do that for you. So that's a coarse ground she's dropping in there.
Lid on. Okay.
Now we fire it up.
Start that.
knowing that you can do this. A lot of.
Okay.
One thing I didn't tell her, this is just a square piece of paper. These are what we call the CHEMEX filters. There is 3 plies on the front and 1 ply on the back. The 3 plies go here towards this spigot, but that's just a...
It's too advanced for me tonight.
Okay.
He's got to do that
Now,
part. Okay. Next step says 3:30 to 4 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Makes about...
That tells you how long it's going to take to brew the entire
okay.
process.
Okay, 201 degree Fahrenheit is
Got
the
it.
temperature of water I need. Pour over filter. So, okay, pour it on this filter.
So first we want to douse, you want to douse the filter, get
Okay.
it wet. And that also will warm up the CHEMEX.
All of it? Or just a little
Just
bit?
get the paper filter wet.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then,
Hopefully we use up all of our water. That was a lot of water.
sorry. You said get it all wet. Do we need more water?
No,
Okay, so now you dump that out?
Yep.
Okay.
Go to our handy sink over here.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Now, put it on there, turn this back on,
Yep.
tear it out. And now I need, put in coffee, start timer, pour in 100 gram bloom for 45 seconds. Okay, so it's still gram. Let me get my
Okay. What you need is the coffee.
coffee. Here's our grounds. Pour it in.
Yep. Okay, now
Okay.
remember to
Now tear it out.
Yep. Good.
Okay. Now, pour in 100 grams and bloom for 45 seconds. How do I do the timer?
I will keep the time
Okay.
for you. That
Excuse
is
me?
the one thing. I forgot my fancy one at.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. I'm not totally sure what bloom means, so I'm just gonna pour it in.
Okay.
Okay?
Just get it wet.
Okay.
Put
100 grams.
100 grams. Get it wet. Kind of swirl it around there. Get everything wet. You want to see this stuff come to the top. You want
Yeah.
to push those down with the water, but you'll way past.
Oops, I went over.
It's all right. It's okay. We're at about 130. It's a
Okay.
little off the 100, but that's okay. Now we're going to wait. How long?
45 seconds.
Yeah, I will let you know in 45 seconds. But there, you guys can take a look at the bloom.
Okay.
You see the chemistry in action.
Yeah, right there.
Julie is all of us.
There's too much going on. Okay, the next is pour in 100 grams and something.
So you just keep pouring 100
Oh,
grams
evenly.
in about every
So you
15
reach
seconds.
825.
So it's just evenly, but it'll
Okay.
start getting full. You'll see. Just want to keep it even.
Okay.
Keep water flowing.
Has it been 45 seconds?
5 more seconds.
This is why Brian does this. I don't
All right.
have the patience for
Go.
this. Okay. Watch it so they can see it. Okay, ready? Now I saw Kyle doing this swirl method.
Now you notice she went automatically into clockwise.
Is that bad?
No, that's probably the most common way. See this stuff? See this stuff crusting up?
Yeah.
You want to push that down, but you're at 200. You're at 200 right now.
What am I getting to?
Just
800?
let it chill.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now get ready. Now go again.
So how do you know when to go again? Just when it has room?
Yeah, I mean, you would if you had a timer in front of you, you'd be going like every 15 seconds. But whoops.
I'm getting very full up there.
Yep.
Give it a minute.
5:31 now. Impeccable goosenecking, Julie. Okay.
Go again.
Yep.
Whoopsies.
All right.
We're at 638. I'm aiming for 825.
How's your water doing?
It's gonna be close.
It's all right. We're gonna do our best.
got a little left.
You think you have 100 grams in
Oh
there?
no, I don't have 100 grams in there for sure.
Just pour as much as you can. Okay, so now we're gonna want this to cycle through. We're at about 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I would give myself about a C.
You know what?
Passing grade, but not great.
I think you made coffee, and this will be coffee that I would drink.
I'll be right back.
So, okay, so we have a little bit of a timeout. We're gonna let this continue to fill our jar here, and
Talk to them about some of the taglines and stuff.
okay, and Julie is going to quickly go put our baby back to bed. So, little technical difficulties. It is just, that's why we're here at 8, 9 o'clock on a Friday. Is that this is the battle we fight every night. So we are just about, the carafe is about full. The ground was about right. Really with this, as long as you get it done with between about 4 minutes and 30 seconds and 5 minutes, you're going to be right on target. So that is shaping up to be a pretty good brew here. All right, so let's see what we have. Yeah, I think she did a pretty good job. I think she wants to give herself a C, but I mean, I've been doing this pour over method. My brother gave me this about 2-3 years ago for Christmas, and I've been using this method about every weekend since then. You don't got to get too fancy in order to make pretty good coffee using this system. I gave her that pretty simple recipe because it will make sure that things don't get oversaturated, things don't rush, you let all the flavors develop, blah blah blah. But really, if you just go about the way that she did it, you're going to be able to really get these subtle, delicate notes that are inside of a CHEMEX. Now, it might be a little bit watered down. She was forcing some water there towards the middle parts of it, but overall, she did a fantastic job. So, give it up for Julie in the chat. Julie isn't here, you can be honest. I mean, no, honestly, like, I would let her brew that anytime and expect to get a pretty tasty cup of coffee. So, if we're being all honest, I think she did a pretty good job for her first time. Now, you got to remember, this is like everything. You got to be supportive because when you're learning, it's not about getting the coffee house quality. It's about doing it, and that's a good method, and it's a cool method. And this is about $40. And if you're ever entertaining guests, you really can take the coffee experience to the next level with a really simple method. That if you use that recipe, it's pretty tried and true. It's a simple method. I'm recording this to show her later. Yeah, that is the problem with Twitch, is that the things you say on here last forever. And that is probably the most terrifying thing about doing this 3-4 nights a week, is if you know me, or if you've spent any time with me outside of this, I am apt to say stupid things. So keep the record button handy, because I'm sure I will go ahead and just flame out here. No, I have a lot of practice in keeping things, keeping a tight ship, but keep me honest in the chat. Make sure I'm behaving myself. So is pour over less acidic? No, it is technically, it can be a little bit more acidic. When I say the word delicate tends to mean acidy. So pour over is probably the most acidic form of coffee making. Well, it really will depend, but you're generally going to use acidy coffees because that's where you're going to get the fruity, the delicate, the light flavors. There's not going to be a lot of body in this. It's going to be almost like a tea. And that's why a lot of people prefer this method and this roast type in the morning. It's not a really bold, and it's not real heavy. It's a nice kind of startup pick-me-up. Okay, French press. French press is the most acidy because it sits in the coffee the longest. And Keurig, again, it's as acidy as having someone spit on you. Okay, would you drink that black? Yes, this I would definitely drink black, especially because this is an Ethiopian. I tend to drink my Ethiopian's black because I'm trying to taste the fruity flavors, and the cream flavors just don't line up. Especially this is a lot more thin, so milk or cream or sugar in here is just going to kind of ruin the taste that you're spending time trying to get out. So, really good questions. Hopefully, Julie will be rejoining us here, but while she's not here, let's go ahead and just figure out what it is. I'm going to go ahead and pull the recipe off. So take a screenshot of that or whatever. It'll be on but it's a little bit easier to just have this view. There's kind of some less chords and less just nonsense flying around on us. So, all right. So, you see it looks rich, smells good. Now, I'm always quick to shout out the gifts, and many of my coffee cups, 99% of all my coffee cups are gifts, and it makes a great gift for me. But this is obviously for our Texas audience, a little bit of Buc-ee's here. It's not bad. It does taste a little bit pushed through, meaning it's a little bit more watery, but the flavors are all there. It tastes like coffee, and it's not the worst pour over I've had by a long shot. So the grounds, it might be a little bit too fine ground, but that's nothing. I mean, I set the grinder for Julie, so there's nothing she could have done, but overall. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of Buc-ee shout outs, and thank you, Jeannie Lynn McDonald, for the Christmas gift 6-7 years ago. So coffee cups, I mean, if you're ever looking to get me something, coffee cup. In fact, the coffee cup that A Webb and Vegetable Beard got me on my last day at our previous engagement together is still the cup I use every single day. So thank you for that as well. All right, so since it's watery, would you increase the amount of ground coffee to fix that? No. What I would probably do is I just would have let it sit in the water a little bit longer. It doesn't taste, it tastes like it's a little bit, it's kind of weird. That's a good question. It tastes a little bit pushed through, meaning the water, early on, there was a lot of water that dropped into the carafe before the grounds were saturated. And then later on, it was intense. So it tastes watered down, but over extracted. And I know you're like, what the hell is he talking about? For the most part, it does taste a little bit off balance, but that's really with your first time. I still might brew this tomorrow morning, and it might have the same effect. So I'm just kind of giving you the ideal of next time. I'll tell you, to slow down a little bit. We'll change the grind size up. But I guarantee if any of you were drinking this cup right now, that's probably some of the greatest cup of coffee I've had at my house ever. So she did a great job. All right, I'm so glad you used it. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so yeah, I'll probably be up till 2 a.m. But hey, it's just life. That's not necessarily going to be the coffee's fault. That's just going to be life's fault in general. So, all right. So while we're waiting for Julie, I want to go ahead and just kind of talk with the chat here a little bit for the last part of our show. Now that we have some coffee, hopefully Julie will be back soon, and she can kind of jump in as well as get her prize. Since she did such a great job, went ahead and we got some sweet treats to kind of add with our coffee here. Because what's coffee at night without a little bit of dessert? So anyway, first I see we got a pretty good amount of you in the show tonight, so thank you for joining us on your Saturday. I know there's millions of other places you can be other than the internet watching a middle-aged couple brewing coffee in their basement, but hey, cheers to all of you who made it out today. Will you have Julie brew tomorrow morning? I will. I mean, she's got the job now, so one less thing. But let's see here. What's the dessert? This is just a snickerdoodle cookie. Go pretty good with coffee. I'll save it until Julie gets here. What's that dessert? Is it locally sourced? It's locally sourced as in it came out of my oven. So it's that local. I mean, it's Corona, so not really. Did you raise the cows for the butter? Yes. I mean, raise as far as I raised up enough money to buy the butter. I raised them cows. What's the all right? That's now I've got to cut myself off from the chat for a little bit for those shenanigans. So I can see the monitor. Looks like our baby is back to bed. So Julie will be down. So get your congratulations so that she can feel that she did an excellent job with the coffee here. Okay. You know, the more I drink it, it's pretty good. Cannot complain. Not a bad cup. All right, so Julie's going to rejoin us here. We'll do a quick state of the fat beans. We'll drink our cups. We'll have some laughs, and then we'll meander on out of here.
Back. Sorry.
All right, so
Real life.
it's a full Texas show tonight because the other cup is Pearland Coffee Roasters. We got a question for you, Julie. Is that baby sleeping through the night yet?
No. That'd be a no.
No, we don't have the voodoo hipster magic that you guys probably do.
I will say he does better than the first one did, but he's still up about once a night. This was a very odd time for him to be awake. So, but
he just wanted, he was feeling left out and wanted to be a part of the show.
He wanted to participate.
All right, so go ahead and tell the people what you think. I've already given my critique of it.
I think it's pretty good.
No, it's not bad.
It's not bad, right? And what roast is this that we?
This was just an Ethiopian, so
Yeah.
a light, fruitier. I was kind of talking that you be pushing it really hard, like getting too much water, like just dumping it in. That all that does is it gets a lot of uncoffee water in the bottom, and then we could have taken it a little bit coarser, because then the coffee that came from the top does taste a little bit strong, a little bit over extracted. But all in all, it balances out pretty well. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's just it's almost like the flavors aren't quite as like crisp. Like it's not bad. It's not a bad cup of coffee by any means. But it doesn't have those like real clean kind of distinct flavors that you get with the Ethiopian a lot.
They don't make this style anymore. That's a shame.
This is my favorite cup.
If Fat Beans Coffee Labs ever were to make a cup, that would be it. That would be the absolute style. Okay, Julie, I told them that I got you a good job. Congratulations, cookie.
One of Brian's other talents is cookie making.
Yeah, someday that might have to be a show where I
Yeah.
give you guys a little cookie update.
Dip it in your coffee.
Here we go.
Have us a wild Saturday night.
All right. Since we are full Texas cups, if you want to get in on the chat and you haven't, go ahead and let us know where everyone is joining us from tonight. Not being there, drank that. Nope.
So, the CHEMEX is when Brian does it, it is probably my favorite method for coffee brewing. It's just really good.
Yeah.
I think that, like I said, the flavors always turn out really flavorful, and it's always really like bright, and you can tell the different types of coffee, the different types of roasts. But doing it myself for the first time tonight, it's a little bit harder than I thought it was. you got it. There's a lot of moving parts with it that I was maybe not expecting.
Yeah, and I know it's gonna sound kind of cliche because I was barking all these orders, but it is a pretty easy form of coffee to make. Most coffee methods are. Someday, when I'm feeling a little bit more confident with streaming, I will show you guys some of the more out there methods of coffee that you've seen and never done before. One of those would be the siphon method. That is probably the most scientific of all the coffee brewing. Also a mocha pot, but that's going to take a little bit more effort on my construction part to get that down here.
Are you reading comments, questions?
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah. All right. So
Go.
it's a good little treat here, and let's see. Repping Austin. Got a lot of Austins. Chewy or crunchy cookies? Good question. I'm all about the chewy, but we can get a little crunch on top. So crunchy on the outside, chewy on the inside would be my favorite. Home Early wants to know if carrot flavor of the roast reminds you of blueberry crumble. Home Early. Hey, Home Early, you're more than welcome to sign in to twitch.com, Fat Beans Coffee Lab. Go ahead and pop in, throw us a follow. I know that's a lot of button pushing for you, but might get a real good kick out of it, Home Early.
There's lots to see.
It's called Siphon. It's called Siphon. Yeah, we've been there before. That's about as far as I'll go into the heart of the hipster den was Siphon in Houston. But it is pretty cool. I've had someone show me how to do it, so someday when we're down here, just kind of messing around, and I feel like having open flame down here, which I don't yet. We will do the siphon method, as well as, like I said, the mocha pot and some of the other ones.
I don't even know what that is.
It's pretty cool.
Huh. So did you talk at all about kind of, no, future state?
No, so that's kind of what was waiting for you to come down here. So with our diehards that joined us here on the Saturday show, Julie, what would you say? So we're over a month in. A month ago, I told you, hey, I'm going to start. I put my camera up. I got a gift, as always. Like I said, I'll use gifts, but I got a gift. I started streaming. Had one person watching me, and I said, hey, I'm going to start streaming roasting because I'm getting bored down there, and I want to do something different. Was only roasting about twice a week, but
Yeah.
I said I like roasting, but it is a little bit quiet down there for 20-25 minutes. Next thing I know, we had an Instagram that Julie started, and we've kind of just slowly been putting together all these crazy ideas in our heads. So, how do you feel about the last month and a half, Julie?
So Brian started roasting coffee back in the spring when everything got shut down, right? Oh, in August?
Well, I started with that machine. I started roasting coffee, yeah, in the spring.
Yes, in the spring with a different machine. When everything got shut down and we weren't able to get fresh coffee beans, I think you had been interested in it for a while, but that was kind of the perfect time to really try it. And then he came a month ago and said you were going to do Twitch. Well, I had no idea what Twitch was. I just was enjoying fresh coffee every morning and didn't think it was going to be anything else.
Yeah, that's a really common statement. Hey,
Yeah.
like I've yet. That's not true. My first follower ever knew what Twitch was, but I've yet to come across someone who I said Twitch. And I know Vegetable Beard and Lisa MB, you guys were also Twitch activists, but the general claim is I don't know what Twitch is and I'm not going to learn. So, go ahead.
But since then, it's been a lot of fun for us. Just it's gotten me involved in a way because honestly, he came down here by himself a couple nights a week and would roast the coffee, and I would have fresh coffee in the morning, but that was about the extent of what I knew. So it's been a good way to get me involved, which has been fun for us. But then also, we've been able to sell our coffee beans to quite a few people, friends and family.
Well, like on a preview. I mean, I really can't do enough to
Yes.
be pumping out a lot of coffee. But
Right, but we have been able to get your product out there to some friends and family, and you've gotten some really good feedback. So now we're just at the point where we need to decide, do we want to try and take it further? Do we want to try and make it bigger, and what that looks like? But honestly, it's already come a lot farther than I thought initially that it would. So
yeah, what I really liked about the Twitch per se is that it's really been pushing kind of what we do. Like we put all this up, everything got put up as a response to Twitch, and it's always been something I've wanted to do even before I was roasting. I wanted to have, there was like kind of a kitchen down here, and I just wanted to kind of make it a little bit cleaner space, and same thing in here. But just the sheer amount of movement it's caused over the last month and a half has been really cool. And what's kind of been sparking the selling has just been I like doing the Twitch shows, and even though I don't have like the volcanic numbers that some people do. It's still just a lot of fun, just having a couple people in, just shooting the breeze with them while I'm roasting, or while kind of doing just unique stuff, coming up with stuff like this. So that's been kind of the reason why I'm not a big. I was never like, hey, I'm going to sell coffee. Like that's never been a point. But I'm roasting so much coffee on Twitch that I can't drink it all. So now I'm starting to when you get moving. Now I'm looking at getting maybe a bigger roaster, which will lead to more coffee, which will lead to more inventory kind of needing to be shredded. Jill McDonald 311, what piqued your interest to start roasting? So it was a place called the House of Coffee Beans in Houston, Texas. They roasted all sorts of single origins. Even then when I was drinking them, I didn't know a lot about single origin coffee, but it tasted pretty good, and I thought it was cool because it was just a kind of a local family all involved in it, and that's all they did. They didn't have a coffee shop. They just made single origin roast coffee and provided it for Rice Village in Houston, which is probably...
They just sold coffee beans, correct?
Right. They had no coffee makers in there at all. They were just on that part. When I moved here, the access to specialty single roasted coffee it's limited. Now there is a good roaster. They started it. They've been they've been doing it since 2013. It's a Messenger. Theirs was a little bit outside of my comfort zone because I was getting really good specialty coffee. I could just go in there. Messenger, I have to know what coffee shop has it. Then I had to find if it had fresh Messenger coffee, which not all the coffee shops did. And then only certain coffee shops around town had a lot of specialty blends. And I just wanted to get back to drinking specialty coffee whenever I wanted it. And I've always been interested in coffee for the last 6 years. So even though I was drinking all these regions, I didn't really know the difference. So I was reading a lot about it, and that's what kind of got me into roasting. And I was really nervous when I spent a couple $100 on my first machine because I was like, I'm afraid I'm gonna spend $500 and I'm gonna hate it. Because everything I read is people were like, oh, it's not worth the money. It's a time sink. Like you waste a lot of time. It's people that think they're just gonna go roast their own coffee and save tons of money. It's not going to happen because you're spending 20 minutes roasting half a pound. That's 40 minutes for a pound. You start extrapolating that out to free time. One nice thing about the career path I chose is that free time is it's not nominal by any means.
But then, like I said, especially in the spring with the shutdown, when I don't know what happened in Texas, but here Brian got sent home from school before spring break, and they never went back.
Yep.
So.
And that was really what pushed me over the edge, is that I couldn't even get Messenger coffee anymore because it was shut down. And so it was the point where the grocery stores just had the dregs. And I think that I would imagine if you're interested in getting into coffee roasting, if you wait about a year, it's going to be like exercise equipment. It's just going to flood Facebook Marketplace and stuff.
Yeah.
And now we have a cool logo. Yes, thank you to... I believe Tyler out of Austin, Texas, who made our logo for us.
No, I think his name is Austin, right, Jill?
I don't know. She'll fill us in. I thought his name was Tyler.
I don't know. Maybe he's from Austin. I don't know.
Anyway, filled us in, got us the new logo. So it's just moving really, really quickly. So thank you to him, and we'll be trying to hook him up with what we do best as soon as possible.
Oh, and good news for all of you in Texas. Jill is coming back for the Super Bowl, so maybe. Oh wait, but you're flying. I don't know if can she take coffee beans?
Yeah, this is America.
I don't know. So
she's not going from South America, like.
Yeah, well, so Jill, leave some room in your suitcase. You can maybe take some coffee beans back for some of our friends here.
Yeah. So AWeb, that's probably too big. That's bigger than I even want to get.
What was the question?
So the question is, have you ever thought about selling your roasted coffee to coffee houses in Kansas City? That's probably even too big. So one thing this last month and a half has really kind of trained me. I really just want to continue to roast coffee, do my Twitch show for my rabid fans, and then just push whatever I have left over out. That's about as far as I want to go now because I feel I'm in the very infancy. That would kind of tear me to the point of having to do economy of scale and ramping up and then having to. It becomes a job at that point, and
especially when we're both working full time, we have 2 young kids. We're having a lot of fun with it, and he's making such good product that we do want to share it. But probably keep it on a small scale for the time.
Right, just because I know you ask my students and some of my coworkers how's that possible, but I do really love my job, so I'm just looking for I found a really unique niche in wanting to just do these kind of things. That's why the Twitch stream has always been number one in my heart because like I said, it just keeps me interested in doing this, and it pushes me a little bit further and further. So we got to continue to grow this monster as much as we can. I mean, I'm not gonna ever really as long as this level of chat right now is great. Like it keeps me, kind of just thinking, keeps me entertained, joking around. The people that have joined over the last month have been a big asset to this overall Twitch show. So thank you to all of you.
But I do, Audrey, not necessarily selling to coffee shops, but I think I want to continue trying to sell and create our own little community and our own customer base. I think that's what our focus is going to be.
Right. So I mean, it all starts here, just because I can directly feed. I think when I was roasting one night without the Twitch or anything, I was like, what'd be really cool is if I could be roasting this, tell the person I'm roasting it for that this is your batch. So we'll try that next week where I will be sending some home. So I'll say, vegetable beard, this is your batch. And then if there's anything you want to get salty with, you can just be like, I want this, or don't do that, or I want to try this. And I think that would be, that was always the overall goal for what we were doing here, was just having people kind of call it out.
Yeah, you can watch. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere else doing that where you can watch your own pound, half pound, whatever it is, of coffee being roasted.
I mean, I think there's some coffee shops that are kind of starting to employ that method because of how technology is changing, and there are some smaller roasters you can get into a coffee shop or a coffee house. But yeah, I think that's kind of what I think is cool. Is I know it's nerdy, but why the Twitch show is pretty cool on that sense. What about farmers markets? We do live 2 blocks from a farmers market, so we've talked about that just tongue in cheek. But really, bottom line, we want to keep it small. And I want to keep myself in coffee, and as long as those 2 things happen, I don't really care what else happens. I know that doesn't sound like a venture capitalist get out there, but
farmers market is like our big goal. That probably not this year, but maybe next year. Maybe at the end of this season. But a farmers market would probably be kind of our big long-term goal that we would aim for.
So what do you call your fans? Beanheads, bean fans, the dregs? It's up to you guys. Like, you guys are the chat. Like, I'm just the
beanheads. I kind of like beanheads.
Like I said, I'm just the middle-aged balding guy on a camera on Saturday. So, beanheads. I mean, that's you guys are. That's kind of your job as the chat, is to kind of figure out what this small army is called. Small but dedicated army.
Beanheads, I think.
So farmers market is how Pearland Coffee Roaster started, and that, I mean, that's partially what my inspiration was. They were my first kind of foray into very local roasted coffee. So I think I had Katz's, which is out of Austin. I was getting that from HEB, and then we moved down close to Pearland, and so I think Vegetable Beard, almost added you on the chat. Well, I think I just did there, but.
I've been saying their names.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what got me into saying, okay, locally roasted, and then I moved over to the House of Coffee Beans. So that's definitely, I think that would be probably like my initial push, especially with young kids and obligations. But as far as me being a Twitch streamer, that goes as far as if my goal with her, like Julie said, what do you want? And I said 10 viewers. I said I want 10 average viewers, and I think with 10, they can rotate out, and not everyone feels like they have to. I think sometimes you guys are like, we're not here, there's no one here, and that is true. So thank you for everyone that's in here.
He told me his goal initially was 10 viewers per show on average and 50 followers. And it started out where me and Jill, or my mom and dad, were the only people viewing.
Well, no, it's a couple of my coworkers.
A couple of your coworkers.
Belvarte was really,
yes,
she really
always.
pushed it, like she's been one of the biggest, ferocious viewer pushers.
Who was with us last week.
Right.
And so, just a very few loyal people were watching, and now it's already grown to, now you're averaging.
Yeah, the average is pretty good.
So.
And it's like I said, it's more than I ever expected. I thought, I'd be sitting here talking to the roaches. No roaches down here. I'd be talking to...
Yeah, this is not Houston. We don't have roaches like that.
I would be talking just to the leaky pipes down here in the basement. But no, it's been really great. So if you guys got anyone really to push, I never really want this to be like we have to get here, we have to do that, because really with one person or just, that's more than enough, as long as they're willing to talk to me like you guys have been. But
so why don't we talk about what is coming up?
So we got a couple of shows. We had a couple of cool February shows lined up. Now, I originally really pushed the baby bean head. That would be my father-in-law. You know him as JMCD311 in the chat. He was going to come in, and I was going to make him like coffee, and I was going to put on my best show and give him all the best stuff I could think of. But then Jill McDonald 311 decided she was going to make a trip down, so we're like, let's do something a little special. So we're going to have the Chiefs pre-party in our basement. So we'll just run the stream for a couple hours.
And for the sake of logistics for J McDonald 311, so he doesn't go crazy, Jill is going to come up, not down. That makes him crazy when directions are not accurate. So we'll have Jill as well as my dad, and a special Chiefs Super Bowl preparation.
Chiefs theme. So since we are in the heart of Chiefs Kingdom, we just figured we would have a kind of a Chiefs theme show next Saturday. Also, because of this newfound, there's going to be a lot of roasting going on the next couple of days. Now I'm going to try to keep everyone's as fresh as possible, but in order just to let you guys all see your own coffee get roasted, so anyone that requests it, I'll make a special show for you, and I'll even I'll throw your chat handle in there so you'll know that this is my roast day.
So put in the comments if you would like Brian to make you probably a half pound.
Probably half pound.
Half pound, and let us know. Do you like a dark roast, a light roast? Do you like more fruity versus chocolatey flavors?
It's still small. I'm gonna do what I have.
Oh.
I'm gonna make what I can, but I will try to tailor it as best as I can.
Yeah. So let us know.
So, fly up, fly down.
I told you.
Anyway, so we'll be looking forward to those. Again, if you know anyone that knows how to work a computer, just tell them to pop the follow, because I don't know why it's starting to, I just feel like we get to 50, then we can just stop talking about it. I know that's not how this works. It's like a drug addiction. You do a little bit, take a little bit more.
Yeah, still.
But I feel like at 50, then it kind of opens the parameters, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. I really still am so new, so green to Twitch. I don't know how it works. Yeah. Also, we're looking for some J Divine 311. I want some. Okay.
Okay, good.
That's what my kids say. You get what you get when you throw it.
Yeah. So other upcoming things is that we've ordered a new roaster.
No, we haven't got a new roaster yet.
Well, you're on the wait list.
I'm on the wait list. It's very popular, but.
But we're hoping to get that in the next month or so, maybe?
I think by mid-February we should up our capacity quite a bit, and that's when we're really going to put the kind of the roasting side of this thing to the test, where we are pushing a little bit harder. Okay, I guess there's a thumbs up cat gif that's trying to come through. Thanks, Twitch. We're getting a new roaster. We're also going to slowly start making some adjustments to the professionalism of the Twitch show. So my 5, 6, 10, 15 followers, you guys are going to get the best experience I can give you. So if there's just anything that nags you, if it's the video quality, if it's the lighting, if it's the sound, we are going to try to start making incremental changes. I am adding it to my summer reading of how to sharpen up our Twitch show a little bit, just to make it a little bit more appetizing or appealing for the people that are willing to sit here again on a Saturday night and just shoot the breeze with us. So anything that you know, now I know nothing about cameras, I know nothing about sound, I know nothing about lights. I know how to use tools kind of to the point where I can like put things up, shelves, and I can cut things and put cabinets in, but we are going to try to get a lot better and start taking this part a little bit more, I don't want to say seriously because I've been serious since day one, but just trying to clean it up a little bit, because I mean it is fun. Like this has been, of the month and a half, this has been the part that I look forward to the most, is kind of putting these shows together, like kind of
just figuring out what ideas we have and trying to space them out so that we have content to share with everyone. So any other ideas that you guys have for shows, things you want to see, please let us know.
Yeah, now I'm up, so I'm willing to shoot the breeze here for a minute. Baby Bean says, why do I have a person taking my cover? Does that mean, I don't know, that's...
do you mean Jill? You mean...
Oh, taking your show? Because, to be honest, like it's going to be a lot of moving parts. I think we're just going to blow the doors wide open on it on Saturday, and we're going to see, like, I know we did it about a month ago, where we just see how many different things we can do in here. We're just going to just open it up and just get real creative. Because
and honestly, what Brian said to me today when we found out that Jill is coming, I said, Jill, we got to have her on. She's been a big supporter. And Brian said, well, we need to have your dad on another day when it's just him. He needs his own show, not just a combination of the two. Although that will be amazing, we need Baby Beans to have his own, tailored to him, and trying to find you the specific type of coffee that you want. So you get to be a double feature.
Yeah, so yours is just so serious that I'm like, I'm not going to sully the name with whatever the flying crap show that we put together on Saturday will become. Fat Serious Beans. That's right. Can you please wear tuxedos for each roast? All right, I've thought about falling into the hype. I think for you guys it would be just great if I just wore tuxedos or just silly outfits. But I want to make sure that the science isn't lost in the Fat Beans lab. So,
in the gimmick of it.
I'll tell you what, A-Web, you pick the night, and we'll see if we can.
You don't have a tuxedo.
I can get a tuxedo. There are Goodwills on every corner. The Goodwill in Kansas City is amazing.
So even better, it will be not his own tailored tuxedo. It will be who knows what we find.
Hypothetically, if I needed to store coffee beans for an extended period of time, should I freeze them? Just don't. Give them away. Roast it. Throw them. Stop it.
Your hypothetical didn't go over well
Don't
there.
like hot, but you could freeze them. But I mean, at this point, like treat coffee like milk. Like coffee is a commodity.
It's made to be brewed. Once it's roasted, correct?
Yeah, it just gets pushed around because it does have a long shelf life. But what you're chasing, if you just want caffeine, grab a soda. But
what I know we've talked about it before, but what would be the max shelf life for a bag of
anything I send
not ground coffee?
Anything I send you will be about 2.5 weeks if you don't grind it and you keep it in something airtight out of the sunlight. It'll last for 2.5 to 3 weeks where you'll get all the flavor. Anything after, there's just certain flavors that I think really ruin the appeal of coffee, and they start showing up after about 3 weeks.
Okay.
Vegetable beer, just throw them in your yard and keep them cool. Don't wash it. Well, of course, I'm not washing it, A-Web. If I'm wearing a Goodwill tuxedo, I'm wearing it with tags and everything on it. See, we have a big argument, and you guys can weigh in on the chat here.
Not sleeping in my bed like
when you buy clothes, do you wear them or do you wash them first? Because personally, I wear them because they never fit as good as before you wash them. Now, I'm not good at washing clothes, so maybe that might be the problem. But
and I will not wear it if it hasn't been washed first. Rule number 1.
I mean, maybe someone weigh in, but I just something I get.
Who's being crazy here?
Well, I'm gonna guess it's me, but it's just something about wearing clothes just newly bought. It's just, with the pleats, with the really hard, been sitting on the shelf for 3 month pleats. Like, I love those.
No.
I'm gonna wash Goodwill clothes though. Okay, I'll wash Goodwill clothes. But new clothes, I'll wear new clothes for a new clothes store. Exactly. You wear the new clothes because it even kind of smells like the store still. So if you go to a fancy store, you smell fancy.
Yeah, how many people could have tried those on already?
That's like we're the same size, we had the same style. It's kind of like I met someone, like a good friend I never got to talk to.
It's not like your brother, it's a stranger.
It's like I'm sharing clothes with a good friend. Like, it's like, hey, you and I have the same taste, but I bought it and you didn't. Look how good I look. Or maybe it didn't fit you, but it fits me perfect. I'm not going to wash it. That's not something.
Happening. No.
That's
not
a thing.
Not in this household.
Goodwill's a ringworm store.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Goodwill. I'm saying, listen, I don't get to smell fancy very often. So when I buy some clothes from a fancy store, I smell fancy. I smell like I look. So every now and then when I have new clothes, I'm just feeling good.
I mean, I get that part.
Depending on the article of clothing, mostly agree I'll wear the new clothes. I think you're the one who's wrong here.
Where has Jill weighed in yet? Lisa, I know. Lisa MB, what's her name?
Yeah.
Lisa MB. I know you're in the medical field.
She wears them out of the store.
I know, but Jill is a nurse, and I am a nurse, and there's just something I think, I don't know, with nurses, we've got a little extra caution when it comes to germs.
Jill wears them out of the store.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, gross.
Everyone's wearing them out of the store.
I don't know.
Nowadays I smell like roasted beans. That is correct.
Well, sorry. You guys can't change my mind on that.
So, let me ask you this.
Okay.
So how do you wear something and then take it back?
I don't.
Oh, you gotta wear it and take it back.
No, if I take
I
it
don't
back,
know if I like something until I've been in it. I've got a good.
try it on. If it didn't fit, I take it back.
Listen.
If I know I'm going to keep it, then I wash it.
I've got a good sweat on before I know if I like
Oh
something
my
or
gosh.
not.
See, and that is exactly why you wash it before you put it on.
Most germs don't survive on clothing. That's a doctor. You've been doctored.
Well, I understand that,
you.
but it's just the thought of, like Brian just said, he gets a good sweat on before he will return it, and then you are going and putting that on yourself. No.
I mean, basically my
It's not the
argument
fact-
is collapsing down upon
It's not
itself.
the fact
but
that I think that is going to get me sick from germs. It's just the idea of someone else's body sweat being on it before I put it on.
Oh,
No,
that's
thank you.
1 in a million. I don't know. Like most viruses need at least a moist host, not worried. But I respect your clothing opinion. I wash the kids' clothes because
Yes.
of chemicals, though I
Yes.
don't know what I'm actually referring to. Germs, no. Parasites and fungus, yes. Hi guys, I don't know how we got on this on the Fat Beans roasting show about the CHEMEX brewing, which we've done
Which we
and we've
did.
made excellent coffee with. Nice job, Julie.
Yeah,
But
we'll rein it in.
well, I'm not gonna rate it in. But bottom line is, I think you're nuts on that. So. I mean, every time I buy clothes, she says, "Hey, you want me to wash that for you?" I say no, and this argument breaks out. So
Yeah.
I don't know how it got there, but it just happened.
Yeah. I don't even know how we got there
If
either.
you're worried about scabies, just give the clothes a good shake. That's more good advice. Okay, so to recap,
Yeah.
we are going to be continuing to expand at a very heavy level as far as content goes. So if there's something you want to see, or just some sort of shenanigans you want to be a part of digitally, you go ahead and let me know. You can whisper me, throw it in chat, follow us on Instagram at Fat Beans Coffee Lab. But we are always taking, this thing grows because you guys grow it. It's not me. I'm just the idiot who will put himself on the camera. But it's been really just way more than I ever thought it was going to be. So thanks for that. Again, if you have any ideas about what we should be doing, what we should be covering, or anything you want to see as far as quality goes, or if you know how to do any of this stuff, If you're sitting on how to do anything digital, anything with streaming, yes, I know I sound like a 99-year-old man right now, but if you know how to work at that computer and push those buttons, let me know. I mean, you guys are the community now, so I will reach out to you if you know someone who does. Jill McDonald, as she already said, Austin Taylor did a great job getting us the new logo. The first logo was what I made, and it was terrible. Austin Taylor really came through and made us a really cool logo, I think, that sets up what we're trying to do down here. So that is that. So let's see, Julian. Yeah, it's a good mug. So if there ever is a Fat Beans Coffee Lab mug, it will be out that. Only thing I can do is MS Paint. Thanks, but see, here's another rant. Here's another little. You're already here on Saturday, so you're gonna get the full brunt of my rant. You are the guy who needs to know this. When I think of a guy who can do all this stuff, it's you. Like it's vegetable beard 100%.
Yeah.
When we used to spend time in a professional setting, I felt like you had two mouses because two mice. What's that, the computer term? But like the way that you could just pull through the content, it was like your mustache would just curl tighter and tighter every time you clicked on a new window. And I feel like you have like a hidden talent that you just haven't expressed. So
you're being modest, aren't you, vegetable beard?
Yeah, BB is on a rant roll, yeah. But I feel like anyone were to go to pull up the forums, you would be able to like coach and train me even if you have no experience or training. I feel like Vegetable Beard is the hidden MVP here. He just needs a little bit of encouragement.
A little push.
I can probably figure it out. I'm good at figuring it out. See?
Yeah.
And I think when we work professionally, that was what works so well about you and I, is I would say, hey, I don't want to do anything. Will you figure it out? And then you said, I'll figure it out. I always figure it out. So now that I have my own Twitch show, I guess I'll be like, I think you should figure this out for me.
Yeah, and that's not me. That's not my role. So you're gonna have to come save this.
I think that's actually why I have a Twitch show, is just so I can just sit on a camera and try to make everyone else do all the hard work for me. What a great human being I am. It should just be called Loser Begs for Help Hour. That is basically what this is. So, yeah, I'm really, look at me, Vegetable Beard. Looking deeply into my eyes. I'm counting on you, buddy. Do the Reddit. They did the Wall Street. They can do the beans. I bet they could. But I feel like Vegetable Beard is Reddit. When I think of Reddit, Vegetable Beard immediately pops in my head. There he is. Dreamy eye. Yeah, see? Help me. All of you, go out there and help me. Now, everyone, when you're visiting family and friends, I know the COVID, but go to your 60, 65-year-old parents, take their phones, download the Twitch app, and all of a sudden they're following me too. Help me. All right, that's my desperate plea of the day. Unfortunately, I'm not a part of the current sick gains. Yeah, I'm not either. We could talk for hours about that, but this is the Fat Beans roasting show. Okay, no, this is the brewing show. Sorry. So just before we go, I'll give you guys a quick tour. We got this shelf in. We're gonna put some extra stuff here. Gonna drop a sink in here, and I'm going to continue to build this out. The roasting lab will be getting some major upgrades, as Julie talked about. We'll be adding a new roaster, and that's going to come with a whole host of problems. So that should be kind of cool to work through with you guys as well. All right. So anyway, I think you guys have humored my ego for long enough, so I do appreciate that. Thank you for all coming in. I will be back at it, slaving away on the roaster. Monday night, I will also be giving Lisa MB her personal tour around the coffee that I roasted on Wednesday. I won't be drinking a full cup of coffee. That was the mistake of a lifetime.
Learned his lesson there.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't bad. Like, I will tell you, it was more, I wasn't like bouncing off the walls. I was just up. I wasn't moving. I wasn't even having a lot of thoughts. I was just awake. But I will still be doing that. I like that piece of it.
Thanks to everyone for joining tonight. We really appreciate it, and I hope that I didn't embarrass myself too bad with my CHEMEX skills.
Nah, you were fantastic. Not live Twitch or construction. Nobody needs to see that. That's too many. That's too much cussing and too many butt cracks to be putting on the internet. So won't be doing that anytime soon. I wish I had the confidence and skill. I know Aweb, your father, would probably be the top candidate for that. That guy, just like a lightning bolt when it comes to that stuff. But no, not good enough. But anyway, thank you for joining us as always. It's been a lot of fun, and we'll have some live guests next Saturday. I'll be doing a lot of roasting shows next week. So if you pity me, please jump in and talk to me. But
jump in, watch us hype up the Chiefs next week.
Says, woohoo, fun tonight, marriage tip BB, just wash your clothes since you know. Yeah, I will be washing my clothes.
We have had this discussion before a time or two. I saw someone asked if we've ever had this debate before, and yes.
The once every 6 years where I buy new clothes, I will be sure to wash them.
Yeah, not often, but yes. Alright, thanks all.
Alright, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, as always, stay caffeinated, and I'll see you guys next time.
Make sure you stop it this time.
Yeah, right.